Hello there, and welcome to Daniel's Infinite Playlist, and welcome to the classic album review section where we basically talk about albums that have been released in the past. And today we're going to talk about an album that I actually discovered last year when I was very sick. And this album was one of the albums that actually got me through that whole period of sickness. And that is Brendan Perry's second solo album, Arc. And for those of you who don't know who Brendan Perry is, well, Brendan Perry is mostly known for being one half of the very well-known duo Dead Can Dance, which is one of 4AD's most well-known and best-selling acts. Through its whole history. However, Brendan Perry has been doing a lot of solo projects, and this album is actually came after 11 years from his first solo album that was released on the 4AD. And what was so special about this album is that it first was released during a live session of his show. And it was only released as a limited 2000 CD run where he signed almost every CD. And what was so special about this album as well is that it actually takes a lot from his Dead Can Dance project rather than his first solo album. So yeah, how is it to listen to this album? Well, it's a bit like this. So I'm going to show you the CD unboxing, and I actually got one of the first exclusive runs of CDs that were released. It's got released afterwards for the wider public, but I actually got the signed one. And it's really amazing. I really love it. There's his autograph, and there you see like the album cover, which is I think it's kind of telling of the music inside, because the music is very, it's both dystopian and very hopeful, kind of like a lighthouse in darkness, and it's very beautiful. And then you see like the inside, which has some photos. I think they're very nice. You see, and there is the CD. All right. Oh, and the back as well, where you see like all the credits and the songs. All right, back to the actual review. How is this album musically? Well, musically, this album, as I said, it takes a lot from Dead Can Dance's more modern work. It is very, grounded in electronic composition and sample-based, musicality. And that was actually a conscious move from Brendan Perry's part, as he wanted to make the music very modern and electronic, because he wanted to connect both the ancient world and the modern world, and how it reflects on his own private life as well. Because he says that he usually connects with his friends through the net and watches documentaries. So it is kind of telling of how the music is made as well, and that should be electronically, which is a very sharp contrast to his more sparse debut album, Eye of the Hunter, which uses a lot of acoustic instrumentation. So the music is very, for those of you who have heard Dead Can Dance, you know that their music is very infused with different elements and different instruments. It's very global-minded music, but I think the music here takes a more synthy and trip-hoppy, kind of sound. In Wikipedia it says that it's more dark wave and neoclassical, and I think that's actually quite a good description of the actual music, and it is very beautiful. And one of the more essential things about Brendan Perry is his own voice, which gives me chills whenever I listen to it, because it is so powerful and it just drags you in, you know, like in the music. And it's also nice to see him, you know, like in a more solo environment rather than in Dead Can Dance. Don't get me wrong, I really do like Dead Can Dance, but it's always nice to see Brendan Perry do stuff by himself. And that's also one of the things that he did for his album. Everything is produced and made completely by him, without no help. And you can't, and that's also one of the things. This album sounds very majestic and very grand. I just can't believe it was made by one person. It's very nice. So, how is this album lyrically? Well, lyrically, this album connects different themes. He says that he didn't want to make this album as a concept album, but a lot of the themes just kind of interconnect with each other. For example, there's a lot of themes of politics and corruption, and then there's environmental worries, and also like the anxiety and also identity one is always searching through in life. And I just think that this album just connects like all of these stuffs very well, especially with its music, and even better with Brendan Perry's amazing voice that sounds like he's commanding and taking you to this dystopian yet very hopeful musical universe. And I think it's really, really great. So yeah, what do I give this album? Well, I give it an 8 out of 10. It is a great album. Throughout its very majestic and grand 8 tracks, it keeps the listener peeled and, surprised at every single turn, especially because of the rich electronic instrumentation and composition, and also, of course, Brendan Perry's expressive and majestic voice. It is an album that... despite it being released in 2010, I think it makes a lot of sense today, especially with everything that's happening, you know, like politically and environmentally. And it also was released during a time where political music wasn't very, popular back then. Now it's been made even more popular by bigger artists such as Beyonce, and well, there are even more artists now that make conscious political music. But it's so nice to see someone that's actually gone against the tide in such a time where music was, the atmosphere for discussing difficult themes such as this, well, it wasn't very accepting back then. And now I think that people should actually listen to this album, not just by being a Dead Can Dance fan, but also by just partaking in all of these lyrical stuff, which is really, really great. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I'm going to put the artist links down below. Brendan Perry is available everywhere on iTunes, Spotify. You can also buy the physical CD release of the album, but it'll be hard to track down an actual signed one if you want to find a signed album. But I'll still put, you know, like the Discogs link down below. Maybe there's one if you want a signed one as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I'm going to be back next Wednesday with a new album review, and on Saturdays with classic album reviews. So please give a like and subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. Enjoy music, enjoy life, people. Vi ses. Hej då!